Hello, friends. Today we will talk about one question. Who am I? It's a very, very important and loaded question, especially for the ones who are the seekers, who are on spiritual path. And even for the people who are not on spiritual path, I think it is a very, very important question. After all, you would want to know who you are, right? Well, the answer is simple for most of the people. And they say, well, this is me. I am this, and I am that. And I understand that. If most of the people, I ask them, they don't even need to go or they want to go any further than that. But I have analyzed this in deep, and I have been lucky enough to be practicing in a primary care internal medicine practice for 37 years. And luckily for me, I was blessed that I got into spirituality somehow about 20 years back, which has taught me a lot. And I utilized this spiritual knowledge to help the people's suffering, because people did come to me with sufferings. Suffering is universal. And the worst part of this suffering is that a lot of people are suffering, they don't even know, because suffering has become universal. So, but I was fortunate enough to have a great rapport with my wonderful patients. So they trusted me with a lot of things. They brought up a lot of problems, not just the medical problems, but also psychological problems, the anxiety, the stress, the anger and sufferings and grieving and all these situations. First thing they will do is bring it out when they come to see me. All come to see me just for that reason. I had been fortunate enough, a lot of people came to me for advice. Doc, we look at you as my friend. Would you give me the advice? So the illness is out there, but very few people really wonder how we can solve this suffering. And my answer to them is, ask yourself, who am I? And sometimes they wonder, what do you mean, Doc? I explain to them that if I ask you who you are, what are you going to say? Then they will give their name, they will point their fingers to their body, and they say, well, I am so and so. I said, yes, but that name was given to you by someone else, right? He says, yes. So your identification coming from someone else doesn't sound right. I said, okay, what else? What's your address? Then they will give me the address. I said, well, in that case also, this address defines you, that you are the one who lives in this and this house or apartment, whatever. And if you go on, all your possessions, you are somebody's spouse, somebody's father, somebody's wife, somebody's mother, somebody's father, somebody's sibling. All these relationships go on and on and on. But these are very futile attempts to really answer the question, who am I? When you have to use someone else or something else to identify you, that's something not right. And I realized that long time ago in spirituality, that life is a duality. The whole sansar is dual, where everything exists in relationship with something else. If you are tall, you have to have a short people around you, because you are tall only in comparison with shorter people. You are rich only in comparison of somebody who is not as rich. So this is all dualistic life that we all are living in. A day you can define only if there is a night. Then people understand the day better. But to understand the day, the night has to be there, and vice versa. So to me, this simple answer to the question, who am I, was just not sufficient enough. So when they come with all these sufferings, I start with a very, very wonderful series of questions, and I ask them. For example, I'll show them a pencil, and I said, do you see this? He says, yes, it's a pencil. So I asked them, are you a pencil? The guy will start laughing. He says, no, Doc, I'm not a pencil. I hope not. So I said, how do you know that you're not a pencil? He says, I can see it. I can see the distance between me and the pencil. I said, aha. So that means whatever you can see, you cannot be that, right? He says, yeah, obviously. So whatever I see is anything other than me. So I said, okay, then who is seeing this pencil? And then he will point. He says, me. This is me. I am seeing this pencil. I said, okay, so this body is you, right? He says, yes, this is me. I said, all right, well, don't forget the lesson that we learned from the pencil. Whatever you can observe, whatever you can see, it cannot be you. Can you observe your body? The guy will say, yes. I say, how many fingers do you have? How many toes do you have? How many arms you have? How many legs? He will describe everything. I said, all right, well, just the way you could have described the pencil, you're describing your body, right? So you're observing your body. You can't be the body then. Then suddenly the room becomes silent. And he starts wondering. He scratches his head. He says, that makes sense. But I said, the next question is, who are you then? Who is observing your body? And a lot of people fumble. Say, Doc, you're confusing me. But I said, no, think. Then most of the people come to understand that, okay, it's my mind. Mind understands. Mind is observing the body. Mind knows that I have a body. Mind knows that I have many fingers and how many toes. Okay, I said, all right, so you are the mind? He says, yeah, I think I am the mind because all this information I have stored is at the mind level. I said, all right. So that means you are not the body, but you are the mind, correct? I said, all right. So I said, if I teach you to close your eyes, and what will you see? Will you see your thoughts? He says, yeah, I will still be thinking. He says, yeah, exactly. So what is a mind? Mind is bundle of thoughts. Whatever kind of thoughts you have, good, bad, ugly, whether it's a belief, your convictions, your ideas, your vrittis, vasanas, desires, everything ultimately breaks down into one thing, a thought. Millions of thoughts, so many different varieties of thoughts. And all these thoughts put together makes a mind, correct? He says, yes. So all this information that you have about you, like where you live, what's your name, who's your spouse, who is your children, all those things is stored where? It's in my mind, correct? Yes. So now, if I tell you, if you sit in a car, say Toyota, you don't say I'm a Toyota, right? Say, no, Doc, me and Toyota are separate. I said, exactly. So your mind is in the body, but now you're telling the body that this is me. How does that really make sense? And I'll actually teach you to meditate and go even one step further. He says, Doc, how do you do that? I just give him a simple method. I said, just the way you were observing the pencil and you were not a pencil, and just the way you're observing your body and you're not the body, just learn how to observe your mind. And mind is where all this information is stored. What your name is, where you live, and what things you own, your house, your car, your spouse, your possessions, your bank account, all those things are stored at the mind level. But meditation teaches you to walk away from your mind and observe your mind. And that's when the separation could start happening. And that's when you start realizing that I'm not even my mind. But all those things have to be your truth, not my truth. Just because I say does not mean you're going to start realizing all these things. Because the way you are a bundle of identifications. And you really want to go beyond that, right? You're just connecting yourself putting all these identifications together, including the body. Even if you look at the body is changing all the time. Every 7 years, biologists say that your whole body changes. All your existing cells drop out and the new cells come. Gradually, of course. And all these things are happening. Your mind is changing, your identifications are changing. You even change your house, right? You go from one address to the other. Now that house stops identifying you. The new house starts identifying you. So you basically hold on to all these identifications and make a bundle out of it. And that's called ego. That's your identifications. And it is required. When you go out and talk to people, you cannot say, oh, I'm here, but I'm not this, it will just create a confusion. So you really want to know that for the day-to-day life, ego is necessary, but it's not real, because these are the beliefs that you're carrying at your mind level. So the trick is to go beyond the mind, because at the mind level, you're holding on to this ego, your identifications. So obviously, whatever you believe you are, you will try to protect it. You will try to protect your possessions. You will try to protect your body, and not just protect, achieve more and more, because more money, that means you can have more identification that I own $1,000, $10,000, $1 million, and more friends, more traveling, more enjoyment. All those things put together defines you, and you want to expand all the time. But the problem is everybody wants to expand all the time. So in the real world, egos clash. You may want to have a bigger house, but your neighbor also wants to have a bigger house. So then there would be a conflict, whether this 10 yards in between belongs to me or it belongs to you. Same way, same dollar bills printed by the US government will have to be shared by millions of people. And somebody will win, somebody will lose. There is friction, there is sufferings. All these things exist as a part of our day-to-day life. Whatever things you possess, they change. Your thoughts change. You believed your parents will be around forever. They are not. Your friends you thought will be here with you forever. They change. Their ideas change. Their philosophies change. They move. Some people die. You have give and take going on all the time. So ego is a continuous struggle that you want to hold on to. And in this struggle, there is suffering. So while you are trying to find out who am I, there is a potential to come out of this stress and suffering. Lord Buddha said that beyond the mind, I can't really say that there is happiness, but I do know that there is no suffering. The suffering ends. So that's when I teach them how to meditate. And in meditation, you develop a technique to be an observer, just a witness to your ongoing thoughts. This bundle of thoughts like a wild river. All you have to do is just be a witness. And while you're witnessing, again, nothing happens overnight. Believe me, it's a long process. But at some point, you start realizing that I'm witnessing these thoughts day in, day out. Who is witnessing this? Who knows that there are thoughts? There is something inside me. It is dark. It is formless. There is no light there. There is no shape, no color. But one thing is there. There is a knowledge. Knowledge means it knows, this emptiness knows that I have thoughts. So this little simple fact you can hold on to. I call that a silk thread of awareness. You hold on to this thread of awareness and start climbing higher and higher. And in this case, you keep going backwards and backwards and backwards. Ultimately, this darkness inside starts suiting you well. It's just like walking into a dark room and you don't see anything. You don't feel comfortable, but you spend more time and you start getting used to it. So as you are doing it, you're walking away from the mind itself. And yes, at some point it may come, and I hope it comes to that point that you may have to question yourself, that I'm walking away from these beliefs that I am this and I am that. My name is this and I live here. Do I have to rescind those things? Do I have to walk away from all these things? And hopefully you will make that decision. At that point, you might walk away from your mind and you will find yourself a new home within yourself, the home of consciousness, home of the soul. Now, there are a lot of things to do even after that, but we'll cover that in some other talk. But for now, understand, who am I is a beautiful question, a very valid question, very important question. Nobody should die on this face of earth knowing the answer to who am I. So good luck to everyone, and especially spiritual seekers, and even the people who are not spiritual seekers. Generate this curiosity. This curiosity has potential to change your life and everybody around you. Thank you so much.